She was raised in a strict religious home, punished into submission, but instead of breaking, she became unstoppable. Grace Jones didn't just defy the odds, she shattered them. From being too strange for the fashion world to too wild for Hollywood, she rewrote the rules of fame on her own terms. But what really happened behind the scenes? Why did she disappear when she was at her peak? And what secrets does she still keep to this day? Stay tuned, because this story will change the way you see Grace Jones forever. In the swirling mist of time, where the echoes of the past shape the fire of the present, one name stands defiantly against the ordinary: Grace Jones. Born on May 19th, 1948, in the sun-scorched town of Spanish Town, Jamaica, Grace Beverly Jones arrived into a world that was never ready for her. The daughter of Marjorie and Robert W. Jones, her bloodline carried the weight of discipline, religion, and expectation. Her father, once a politician, later donned the robes of a Pentecostal minister, a man of rigid beliefs, towering expectations, and little patience for defiance. Her mother, graceful yet confined within the chains of tradition, watched as her daughter was raised beneath the heavy hand of rules and righteousness. But beneath the veil of obedience, something restless stirred, something wild, something that would not be tamed. She was raised in the grip of discipline, molded by an environment where control reigned supreme. But rules were never a match for Grace Jones. There was another force in the house, a step-grandfather who turned punishment into something darker. Discipline laced with cruelty, shaping the young girl into a fortress of defiance. Her childhood was not one of soft lullabies, but of survival. It was in that suffocating atmosphere that her rebellion first took root. Not openly. Oh no, the time for that would come later. But deep inside, something was growing. A hunger, a defiance, a refusal to be caged. When she was 13, a shift in destiny pulled her away from the island that had birthed her fire. The family packed their lives and moved to the United States, settling in Syracuse, New York. The contrast was jarring: cold air, new rules, an unfamiliar landscape. But it was in the vast, unpredictable terrain of America that she found something crucial: escape. Her parents, bound by their religious mission, had hoped that this new world would continue to shape her into the obedient daughter they envisioned. Instead, it unlocked a door she had been waiting to walk through. Education was a pathway, but not the one expected of her. She attended Onondaga Community College, studying Spanish. But classrooms were never meant to contain her. There were other lessons to learn, ones not written in textbooks. The underground world of New York's counterculture called to her like a siren, and she answered. Makeup, alcohol. She tasted everything they had warned her against, and with every indulgence, she carved herself further from the mold of her past. Then, a moment of fate arrived. She joined a theater tour, stepping onto the stage for the first time. The stage, as it turned out, was where she belonged. But not just any stage. No, the world was her audience, and soon, it would be looking straight at her. In 1970, she made a decision that would change the course of history. She left New York and landed in Paris, the city of lights, the city of reinvention. Here, Grace Jones was not just accepted. She was worshipped. Her towering frame, her strikingly sculpted features, her skin like carved obsidian. She was unlike anything the fashion world had ever seen. Parisian designers were hungry for something different, something raw, something that didn't whisper elegance but roared power. She was that force. Wilhelmina models had been her first gateway, but it was in Paris that she became a true phenomenon. Yves Saint Laurent, Claude Montana, Kenzo Takata, they all wanted her. Not just for the clothes, but for what she represented. A woman who defied the standard, who turned her differences into dominance. But even as flashbulbs exploded around her, even as her image was immortalized on magazine covers, something inside her still stirred. Modeling was a stage, but she wanted more. She needed sound. She needed rhythm. She needed music. The 1970s pulsed with the energy of disco, and it was here that she found her next conquest. With the fire of rebellion still burning in her, she stepped into the recording studio. The world may have known her face, but soon they would know her voice. With the release of Portfolio in 1977, followed by Fame and Muse, she was no longer just a model who sang. She was a force in music, a disco queen, a ruler of neon-lit nights, her voice filling the pulsating, sweat-drenched air of gay discos, her presence commanding dance floors like a high priestess of sound. The world was listening, but disco was only the beginning. As the 1980s dawned, the world was shifting, and so was she. Disco was fading, but Grace Jones was not a woman who faded. She transformed, reinvented. If disco was dying, then she would create something new. Her sound became a fusion, new wave, reggae rock, a sonic rebellion against classification. Warm Leatherette, Night Clubbing, Living My Life. These were not just albums. They were declarations. With songs like Pull Up to the Bumper, Slave to the Rhythm, and I've Seen That Face Before, Libertango, she became something more than a singer. She became a movement. Music was her weapon, but it was not her only one. Hollywood was waiting, and it was time to conquer another kingdom. She did not tiptoe into film. She stormed in. Conan the Destroyer in 1984. As Mayday, she wasn't just a Bond girl. She was a Bond villain, a rare, ferocious force that stole every scene. She was a living contradiction, danger and allure, power and seduction, wrapped in an aura that no one could ignore. But behind the scenes, beyond the flashing cameras and roaring crowds, she was simply Grace. She was a sister to Noel Jones, a megachurch preacher who walked a different path. She was a mother to Paolo, born in 1979 from her electric, chaotic relationship with Jean-Paul Goude, the artist who helped shape her image but could never tame her soul. She was a lover, with names like Dolph Lundgren and Sven-Ole Thorsen woven into her history. And she was a wife, marrying Attila Altenbay in 1996, though even love itself could not confine her wild heart. As time passed, legends faded, but not Grace Jones. In 2015, she penned her own history with I'll Never Write My Memoirs, a memoir that held nothing back. In 2018, her home country honored her with the Order of Jamaica. And in 2022, she proved that fire never truly dims, performing at the Meltdown Festival and lending her voice to Beyoncé's Move. She is not just a model, not just a singer, not just an actress. She is an energy, a living, breathing declaration of what it means to refuse limitations. She is Grace Jones, and the world will never forget her. But here's the real question. Was she ahead of her time, or was the world simply too afraid of her power? Let's talk in the comments. And if you want more shocking, untold stories of the legends who refuse to be controlled, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned. Because trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next.